This is a story called MAGICABALA. This is a little bit of an experiment today because this is a story that I was given when I was being trained by the higher beings to channel. And the first book they gave me to channel was I was going to say a struggle. It wasn't exactly a struggle, but it was quite shocking. So before that I actually channeled that book, they were training me with this story, and it's like, I think it's 7 stories set inside another story, which I didn't realize until I got to the 8th story, where I realized that was the main story and the others fitted in it. It's a crazy thing, but crazy things happen to you when you're asked to start taking down all these reams and reams of words from higher beings, which happened to me quite by extreme things, really. I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't something I asked to do. I see a lot of people now being trained to channel, and I see a lot of people asking to channel. I had no idea what channeling even was when it happened to me. And this is a lot of years ago now. This is in 1991. But I thought today I would give you this story because it's really interesting. It's something that I've gone back to over the decades because it was a story of my inner child. And I think it's a story of lots of people's inner child. So I'm going to see if I can actually do this and read you this whole story. So it's called MAGICABALA. A little girl had been born at the circus. Her mother was a high wire performer. Her father a clown. Nobody knew that day the importance of the birth, for she was a little girl who would go in search of the end of the rainbow. As she grew, Demara played amongst the performers, juggling with jugglers, dancing with the clowns, became adept at riding bareback on the horses, but she would often creep away to sit alone and feel the beating of her heart, the throbbing that she knew would never be satisfied here. For many a year she played her part, helping the performers with their many tricks. She would herself dance to a drum beat, whirling around and around the arena, with the audience captivated by her charm. But her time of unrest became more and more, for her heart beat to a different drum. When the circus travelled from one place to another, Demara would sit in the first truck so that she might see the approaching town on the horizon. She would look for her secret place in the distance, always choosing the highest point in the town where a hill or mound lay waiting for her presence. As soon as the trucks came to a halt, Demara would scamper off in search of her freedom. On this particular day, Demara thought that for once she would be disappointed, for the trucks seemed to travel on forever, past built-up urban roadways, factories and houses. Where had the green fields and the trees gone that she loved so much? At last, through the smeary windscreen, Demara saw a fleeting glimpse of a winding path leading to a hill. She knew that she must find this place when the convoy eventually came to a halt. The circus had come to town. Many people lined the pathway. Demara waved to them all. As soon as the truck stopped, she crept away to find her path. When the circus was out of sight, she ran through the streets, up the alleyways, until her winding path was found. At the entrance, she slowed down to find herself before her journey began. Flowers grew by the pathway, blue ones, yellow ones, red ones, all the colours of the rainbow. She did not pick them, but bowed down to their beauty before she went on her way. Demara sang a song as she walked along, a love song that her father taught her many years before. It spoke of a feeling she often felt, a feeling she longed to keep forever. Whenever she travelled one of her secret pathways, she would sing this song. But today seemed special. The feeling was very strong, and did not seem to fade. The pathway ended abruptly with a small clearing, showing her a grassy mound that seemed to beckon to her call. She climbed to the top and sat down. Her mood changed, for she felt an overpowering peace take hold. The feeling had become so strong that she knew only it. The world had faded to its rightful place, and love became her reality, and it had been given to her to hold. And in its reality, her vision was ever changing. Bright colours, shapes, faces she did not know, then a breathtaking image of a rainbow of long ago, which seemed to ask her to stay. She felt her whole existence absorbed into a cloud that carried her to the lower limits of this coloured hue. As she landed, her feet seemed to sink right into a coloured sphere of red. Red, red roses kept repeating itself over and over in Demara's mind. She could see nothing but beautiful petal blooms, all shades of the red sphere she had become immersed in. Their perfume filled the air. Then through the rose array, she saw a jester calling her away. He was dressed in vibrant shades with bells hanging from his belt and a hat. He held roses in his hand. Demara seemed to know that the roses the jester held were not real. "Take one, little girl, for these are the roses of a lifetime," the jester said. Demara reached out. She took the biggest and prettiest bloom. The petals opened up and faded away until they fell to the ground, leaving just a pitiful stem. Tears began to fall down Demara's cheeks, dropping one by one onto the petals below. "The eyes deceive," the jester sighed. "Pick again, Demara, dear." "What is real?" she cried aloud. Her hand hovered from rose to rose, but for safety she chose the one nearest to her reach. She held it for a while, but as she looked closer, she noticed it was not beautiful at all, but full of decay. She threw it to the ground. "All is false," Demara sobbed. "No," the jester paused. "You must pick from your heart. Truth can only be found when the heart is open. Demara, sit a while, and I will tell you a tale of long ago, today, and tomorrow, for only a few solve the riddle." The jester gazed amongst the blooms and began. "A caterpillar is a caterpillar, and a butterfly is a butterfly, and in between you won't find very much else, just a lot of nibbling of cabbage leaves and sleeping in cocoons. But this is a tale of two caterpillars, or was it butterflies, who just did not know whether they are caterpillars or butterflies. We will call one caterfly and the other butterpillar, because they are not really the normal variety of the species. Sometimes they are more like flycatter and pillar butter, but we won't go into that now. On this particular day, caterfly was definitely caterpillar, more caterpillar than butterfly. He had woken up that morning underneath a large cabbage leaf and immediately began the usual nibble, 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 or was it chomp, chomp, chomp? He just ate away every part of the leaf and moved on to the next. He did not need to think very much. This action was automatic. Chomp, chomp, nibble, nibble. Something had stopped his eating. Whatever could that be? Something or somebody was in the way of his eating. A beautiful butterfly had alighted on the cabbage leaf. "Hello, caterfly," she said. "Do you remember me? I'm Butterpillar. We met yesterday, but you looked like a butterfly then. What could have happened?" "Me? Chomp chomp. Oh no, I don't know you," replied Caterfly. "Oh, but you must remember we talked of many things. You told me your name was Caterfly," sobbed Butterpillar. "Never talk much at all myself, just eat all day. Nibble, nibble," said Caterfly. "But I thought we were friends," whispered Butterpillar, as she sadly flew away. She did not understand. Maybe it was not Caterfly after all, she thought. Everybody looks the same from the outside, but there was something very familiar about Caterfly that she could not deny. Caterfly ate all the day, and Butterpillar flew her sweet way. She swooped now and then to that same cabbage patch to check that he was still there, but she did not let him see her. The next day, Butterpillar awoke with the sun and started eating. Nibble, nibble, chomp, chomp. She was feeling very heavy that day, as heavy as any fat green caterpillar. "Well, this leaf is tough," she moaned to herself as she ate. Just then, an elegant young butterfly landed right in front of her nose. "Mind out of my way, you silly thing," she called. "I'm eating that leaf." "But Butterpillar, it's me, Caterfly. I've come to tell you I'm sorry. I was too busy yesterday." Butterpillar carried on eating for a while and then raised her eyes in a fixed stare at Caterfly. "Well, I have a lot of eating to do today, and you talking will only distract me," she said. Caterfly was a very proud soul, and he flew immediately away with his wings held still in flight. A week had passed. There had been many changes, but this particular morning, Butterpillar had been flying around, busying herself on this flower and that, when suddenly in flew an elegant friend. It was Caterfly. They both teetered daintily on the petals of a white carnation. "How beautiful you look, Caterfly," mused Butterpillar. "You don't look so bad yourself, Butterpillar," replied Caterfly. Their wings seemed to vibrate together as they whiled away the time on that carnation. "You are very friendly today, Butterpillar. Have you been drinking too much nectar?" said Caterfly. Butterpillar just smiled one of her very butterflyish smiles. They ate, talked, and grew together, and then suddenly Caterfly flew away. As the breeze caught him, he called, "See you tomorrow, Butterpillar, same place." Butterpillar sat a while, but she was sad. She had not wanted him to go, but there was always tomorrow. The next day, Butterpillar spent flying high. She saw many beautiful flowers, more than she had ever seen before. What a glorious day, she thought, as she preened herself and fluttered her wings. The morning passed quickly. She knew it would not be long before he came, but she began to feel afraid. Maybe he would not recognize her today. But no, it must not be. Her spirits were still high. Just then, she saw Caterfly crawling towards her on the leaf she rested upon. "I did enjoy talking to you yesterday, Butterpillar, but today I'm hungry and I must eat. Chomp, chomp," said Caterfly. "But Caterfly," started Butterpillar. Alas, she smiled sweetly and stayed a while, but then as Caterfly was chewing a tasty morsel, she flew away. She cried on her own. Time went by, many changes took place. Caterfly encountered Butterpillar and Butterpillar encountered Caterfly. Excuse me. Butterpillar was becoming weary of the conflict. Why can't we both be butterflies all the time? She thought miserably. I must fly away to another patch until the time comes when we can both be free, she thought. They both whiled away the days and weeks, sometimes as caterpillars and sometimes as butterflies, until time came when they had both broken out of the strands of their cocoons for good. The jester had remained still as he retold the tale. But now he arose and picked a perfect bloom from the rose array. He turned to Demara to finish the tale, and in his melodious voice said, "They met upon a rose just by chance." No words were needed now. They were both full grown. The rose perfume filled their very being. They flew together to great heights and swore a pledge never to deceive again. The jester beckoned to Demara with his hand and said, "Come, we will travel on now. You must learn your lessons. Your rose will wait for another day." Walking on together through the blooms, the red began to fade away, and they entered a sea of orange, swirling, whirling colour, blowing on the wind. Demara saw before her twirling leaves of autumn, colours of the winter fall, summer sun and shades of spring gold, orange, orange, orange. The jester was catching the leaves and blowing them away again. Demara caught one, fingered the crisp image and put it in her pocket. "It will not keep for another day," the jester sighed. "It is blowing in the moment for you, Demara. Enjoy it while you can." I'm going to leave it there today. That's the first one of the stories in the whole book that is now actually with publishers. And we'll see what happens there. But it's a very magical story, and it was certainly something that I went back to understand why my life was going the way it went. So tomorrow we will read together, hear together. It's a long time since I've reread this, actually. And it will be part 2. Thank you for listening. Think of your inner child. It's there for you. It needs your attention. It wants to be loved by you, and then it will give you all the creativity and all the enjoyment and playfulness in your life. Just a little thing to leave you with. Bye for now.